She hid a life-changing secret from a millionaire until fate reunited them years later. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support truly means the world to us. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to the main character. It is just past 7 in the morning when the hospital lobby begins to stir. Automatic doors slide open and shut in a steady rhythm, letting in the muted sounds of traffic and the smell of fresh coffee from the corner cafe. Nurses move with practiced urgency. Security guards nod to familiar faces. Everything looks ordinary, predictable, safe. But for her, this morning is anything but. She stands near the admissions desk, one hand gripping a worn canvas tote, the other resting lightly on her son's shoulder. He is small for his age, with dark eyes that notice everything, and a quiet patience that does not belong to a child. He swings his legs as he sits on the chair, humming softly, unaware of the storm tightening in his mother's chest. She tells herself to breathe, in through the nose, out through the mouth. She has done harder things than this. She has worked double shifts. She has gone nights without sleep. She has raised the child alone with no safety net and no second chances. Walking into a hospital should not scare her, and yet her pulse refuses to slow. The appointment was supposed to be simple, a routine consultation, a new program funded by a private donor. She did not expect anything unusual. She certainly did not expect fate to be waiting on the other side of the glass doors. A voice cuts through the low hum of the lobby. "Excuse me, I think you are in the wrong area." She looks up instinctively, ready to apologize, already forming the words in her mind. But the moment her eyes meet his, the world seems to tilt. He stands a few feet away, tall, composed, dressed in a dark tailored coat that looks out of place among scrubs and visitor badges. There is nothing outwardly dramatic about him. No raised voice, no harsh expression. Just calm authority, the kind that does not need to announce itself. For a split second, neither of them speaks. Her breath catches, not because she recognizes him right away, but because something about him feels painfully familiar. The angle of his jaw, the steadiness in his eyes, the way he looks at her, as if he is trying to place her in a memory he cannot quite reach. "I am sorry," she says finally, her voice softer than she intended. "We were told to wait here." He nods, glancing at the clipboard in her hands, then at the child beside her. Something unreadable flickers across his face. Curiosity, perhaps, or something closer to concern. "This wing is usually reserved for private consultations," he replies. "But it is fine. They will sort it out." He steps aside to let them pass, polite, distant, already moving on with his day. Just another brief interaction between strangers. Except she does not move. Her fingers tighten around the tote. Her heart pounds so loudly she is sure he can hear it. Because now she knows. Not from his words, not from his clothes, but from the unmistakable pull of the past rushing back all at once. It is him, the man she walked away from years ago without an explanation. The man who never knew the truth. The man who does not know that the little boy sitting beside her shares his eyes. He does not recognize her. Of that, she is certain. Time has changed them both, and she has worked very hard to become invisible to the world he lives in now. "Mom?" her son whispers, tugging gently at her sleeve. "Are we going in?" She forces a smile and nods. "Yes, just a minute." As she turns away, she feels his gaze linger on her back for just a moment longer than necessary, as if something about this encounter has unsettled him too. Neither of them knows it yet, but this is not a coincidence. This is the moment everything they buried begins to surface, and the secret she has protected for years is about to change all of their lives. The consultation room is quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel louder than it should, the faint beep of a distant monitor, the soft rustle of papers at the front desk outside. She sits in a plastic chair that is slightly too low, her knees drawn close together, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her son sits beside her, swinging his legs again, counting the ceiling lights under his breath. He is calm. He always is. Too calm for a child who has spent more time in waiting rooms than playgrounds. She watches him out of the corner of her eye and feels the familiar ache settle in her chest. This was never the life she imagined for him. Years ago, she had imagined something else, a small house with a yard, two parents arguing quietly over dinner plans, a child who never had to ask why his father was missing from school events or doctor visits. But life does not ask for permission before it changes direction. It simply does. The nurse finally calls her name. She stands quickly, too quickly, and steadies herself before taking her son's hand. As they walk down the hallway, her mind drifts backward, pulled by memories she rarely allows herself to touch. She remembers the night she found out she was pregnant, the bathroom light too bright, the test shaking in her hand, the way she sat on the edge of the tub for nearly an hour, staring at the wall, knowing everything was about to change. She remembers him then, younger, less guarded, a man who spoke about ambition as if it were a temporary phase, not a permanent state of being. A man who promised to call, to make time, to slow down after just one more deal. She never told him, not because she wanted anything from him, not because she thought he would abandon her, but because she saw the world he lived in, and she knew there was no space in it for a child that arrived unplanned. She chose certainty over hope, silence over disappointment. The exam room door closes behind them. The doctor explains the plan, using calm, measured words. A new specialist, additional tests, a program recently funded that would cover most of the costs. The doctor smiles as she mentions the donor, praising his generosity, his commitment to children's health. She nods politely, her stomach tightening with every word. She knows who that donor is now. Across the building, in a private office overlooking the city, the man from the lobby loosens his tie and stares at the paperwork on his desk without really seeing it. He has sat in boardrooms on 3 continents. He has negotiated deals worth more than most people will earn in a lifetime. None of it has unsettled him the way that brief encounter downstairs did. There was something about her, the way she stood, protective without being obvious, the way the child leaned toward her instinctively, as if the world made sense only when she was close. And that feeling, sharp and unexplainable, that he had missed something important without knowing when or how. He pushes the thought aside. He has learned to do that well. Back in the exam room, her son asks a simple question, his voice small but steady. "Mom, is everything going to be okay?" She smiles, brushing his hair back gently. "Yes," she says, even though she does not know if it is true. "We are going to be just fine." What she does not say, what she cannot say yet, is that fate has already started rewriting their story. And this time, walking away will not be so simple. That night, after her son finally falls asleep, she sits alone at the small kitchen table in their apartment. The overhead light flickers softly, casting tired shadows against the walls. The apartment is clean, but modest. Second-hand furniture, a couch that creaks when you sit too hard. A place built on careful choices and quiet sacrifices. She opens the canvas tote and slowly empties its contents onto the table. A folded medical form, a children's book with a cracked spine, a set of crayons worn down to nubs, and at the bottom, tucked into an inner pocket she rarely opens, a small envelope. She does not need to look inside to know what is there. She has carried it for years, through moves and job changes, through nights when money was tight and fear was tighter. It is light, almost weightless, and yet it holds the heaviest truth of her life. She opens it anyway. Inside is an old photograph, edges slightly frayed. 2 people stand close together, caught mid-laugh, unaware of the future rushing toward them. He looks younger there, less controlled. His arm rests around her shoulders in a way that feels unfamiliar now, like a version of him that no longer exists. She exhales slowly and sets the photo aside. Next comes the folded paper beneath it, a hospital printout from years ago, a date, a time, a heartbeat measured in small black lines, proof of a life that began quietly and changed everything. She remembers the choice she made that day with painful clarity. She had stood in the hospital parking lot, phone in hand, his name glowing on the screen. She could have called. She could have told him everything. She could have stepped into his world and asked him to make room. Instead, she turned the phone off. It was not pride. It was not anger. It was fear mixed with something harder to explain. A certainty that love, when backed by power and money, often comes with conditions, and she wanted her child to belong somewhere without having to earn it. So she disappeared. Years passed. She learned how to be strong in ways she never expected. She learned how to read medical bills like a second language. She learned how to smile through exhaustion and make something warm out of very little. And most importantly, she learned how to be enough for her son. Across town, the man she left behind stands in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of his office, the city lights flickering on as dusk settles in. His assistant has gone home. The building is quiet. Too quiet. He pours a glass of water and does not drink it. He keeps seeing the child's face, the way the boy listened, the way he watched the world, alert and thoughtful. There was something about him that felt uncomfortably familiar, like looking at a reflection that does not belong to you. He shakes the thought away. He has built his life on clarity, on facts and figures, on things that can be proven. Sentiment has never served him well, but tonight it follows him anyway. Back in the apartment, she carefully returns the photo and papers to the envelope, then slides it back into the tote. She zips it shut with a finality that feels almost ceremonial. Her phone buzzes softly on the table. A message from the hospital. A follow-up appointment scheduled sooner than expected. The name of the specialist listed below. The same program. The same donor. Her chest tightens. She looks toward the bedroom where her son sleeps, one arm thrown over his pillow, his face peaceful in a way that both comforts and terrifies her. She has protected him from the truth for as long as she could, but secrets, she knows, do not stay buried forever. And somewhere deep down, a part of her understands that fate did not bring that man back into her life by accident. It brought him back because the truth is ready to be seen, and once it is, nothing will ever be the same again. The next morning arrives too quickly. She wakes before the alarm, her body already tense, her mind replaying the same thought on a loop. Today, she will see him again. Not by chance this time, not in passing. Today, their lives will overlap in ways she can no longer control. She prepares breakfast quietly, careful not to wake her son too early. The smell of toast fills the kitchen as sunlight creeps through the blinds. For a moment, everything feels almost normal, almost safe. When her son shuffles in, rubbing his eyes, she kneels to straighten his jacket and tie his shoes with practiced hands. He looks up at her, studying her face. "You look nervous," he says. She pauses, surprised by his perception, then smiles. "Just thinking about the day." He nods, as if that explanation is enough. At the hospital, the private consultation floor is brighter than the lobby below. Cleaner, quieter. The kind of place designed to reassure people that they are in good hands. A receptionist greets them by name and asks them to wait. They do not wait long. The door opens and he steps inside. He is dressed simply today. No coat, no entourage, just a crisp shirt with the sleeves rolled back slightly, revealing a watch that looks worn, not decorative. He stops when he sees them, his gaze moving from her to the child beside her. Something shifts in his expression. "Good morning," he says, his voice calm, measured. "I did not expect to see you again so soon." She forces herself to meet his eyes. "Neither did I." There is a pause, not awkward, but weighted, as if both of them are standing on the edge of something unnamed. "I am overseeing the program personally," he continues. "I wanted to make sure everything was clear." He crouches slightly to bring himself level with her son. "And who is this?" Her son straightens, polite but curious. "I am Ethan." He smiles, and for the first time, it is not the practiced smile of a man used to meetings and press releases. It is softer, real. "That is a good name," he says. Something tightens in her chest. The appointment begins. He listens more than he speaks, asking thoughtful questions, making notes, nodding as the doctor explains the plan. He does not interrupt. He does not dominate the room. He simply pays attention. She notices the way he watches her when he thinks she is not looking, the way his eyes linger when she comforts her son, when she asks the right questions, when she quietly advocates without demanding. This is not the man she remembers, and yet, somehow, it is exactly who he was meant to become. After the doctor leaves, silence settles in the room again. "If you need anything," he says carefully, "transportation, scheduling, support, the program will cover it." She hesitates. Pride rises instinctively, but she pushes it down. "Thank you," she says. "That means more than you know." Their eyes meet again, and this time, neither of them looks away. Outside, as they part ways, he watches her walk down the hallway, her hand wrapped around her son's. A strange, unsettling thought forms in his mind. This is not the first time our lives have crossed. He cannot explain it. He cannot prove it. But he feels it, deep in his bones. And for the first time in years, he allows himself to wonder what he might have missed. Fate has not finished with them yet. Over the next few weeks, their paths begin to cross more often than either of them expected. It starts with small things. He checks in after appointments, not with assistance or formal emails, but with brief messages written in his own words. He arranges transportation when she insists on taking the bus. He adjusts schedules so she does not have to miss work. Every gesture is practical, respectful, and carefully measured. And yet, each one lands deeper than the last. She tells herself it is temporary, that once the treatment plan stabilizes, once the program runs its course, their lives will separate again, that this closeness is a byproduct of circumstance, not intention. But healing has a way of blurring lines. One evening, she is late leaving the hospital after an unexpected delay. Her son sits beside her in the waiting area, legs dangling, eyes heavy with sleep. She scrolls through her phone, calculating bus times, when a familiar voice speaks behind her. "You will miss the last one," he says quietly. She looks up. He is standing there, jacket draped over his arm, expression unreadable. "I can drive you," he adds, as if offering nothing more than a convenience. She hesitates, then nods. The ride is quiet, not uncomfortable, but full. City lights pass by the windows as her son dozes off in the back seat, his head tilted toward the door. She reaches back to gently adjust his jacket, and she feels his eyes on her again. "You are very good with him," he says. She keeps her gaze forward. "I do my best." He does not push. He never does. That is what unsettles her most. Days later, he joins them for lunch in the hospital cafeteria. Nothing fancy. Plastic trays, overcooked pasta. He listens as her son talks about school, about his favorite science project, about wanting to build things when he grows up. He laughs easily, genuinely, at stories that are not impressive or important by any measurable standard. She watches this version of him with quiet disbelief. This is not a man performing kindness. This is a man discovering it. At night, when the apartment is quiet again, she finds herself thinking about him in ways she promised she would not. Not as the man she once loved, but as the man standing in front of her now. Steady, present, learning. She remembers the years she spent telling herself she made the right choice, that protecting her son meant keeping his father away. That absence was better than uncertainty. But now, she watches the way her son lights up when he hears his voice, the way he listens, the way he leans closer without realizing it, and something inside her begins to fracture. Across town, he sits alone in his home, scrolling through financial reports he cannot focus on. His thoughts keep drifting back to the small apartment she mentioned in passing, to the careful way she budgets her time and energy, to the child who feels, inexplicably, familiar. He has built his life on control, on knowing the outcome before making the move. This is different. This feels like standing on the edge of a truth he is not ready to name. Neither of them says it out loud, not yet. But healing has begun, quietly and without permission. And with it comes the slow, undeniable pull toward a truth that will not stay hidden much longer. The truth arrives without warning. It happens on a Thursday afternoon, the kind of day that feels ordinary enough to be forgettable. The hospital is busy, hallways filled with quiet urgency, phones ringing, carts rolling past in practiced rhythm. She is reviewing paperwork at the nurse's station while her son sits nearby, drawing carefully on a sheet of scrap paper. He hums as he works, tongue caught between his teeth in concentration. The man stands a few steps away, speaking softly with a physician about the next phase of treatment. His posture is relaxed, familiar now, as if he belongs in this space, as if he has always belonged. The doctor glances down at the file in her hands and frowns slightly. "Can I confirm the father's name?" she asks, more to the chart than to the room. Time slows. She feels it before it happens, the way her body tenses, the way her breath catches just enough to betray her. She opens her mouth to respond, to redirect, to stop what is coming. But her son looks up first. "That's my dad's name," he says simply, pointing at the file. "Mom said he used to be very busy." The silence that follows is absolute. The doctor blinks, confused, her eyes moving between the child, the name on the page, and the man standing just a few feet away. He freezes, the conversation with the physician dissolving mid-sentence. Slowly, he turns. His gaze drops to the paper in the boy's hands, to the familiar letters, to a name that has always belonged to him, his name. The room feels suddenly too small, too bright. She feels the blood drain from her face. This was not how it was supposed to happen. Not like this, not here. He does not speak at first. He cannot. His mind races, grasping for logic, for coincidence, for anything that does not end where every instinct is pointing. He looks at the child, at the dark eyes, the careful way he sits, the familiar tilt of his head. The pieces fall into place with brutal clarity. "How old are you?" he asks quietly. The boy answers without hesitation. The number lands like a blow. He swallows hard, his chest tightening, his pulse roaring in his ears. Years, entire years stolen not by malice, but by silence. He looks at her then, really looks at her, at the way she stands between him and the child without moving, protective, unapologetic, afraid. "You knew," he says, his voice low and steady in a way that frightens her more than anger ever could. "You knew all along." She nods once. There is no point denying it now. "I did," she says, "and I was going to tell you, just not like this." The doctor quietly excuses herself, sensing the gravity of the moment. The hallway seems to fade away, leaving only the three of them suspended in something that feels irreversible. He crouches slowly, bringing himself to the child's level again, his hands braced on his knees. His voice softens despite himself. "What do you like to draw?" he asks. The boy brightens, eager. "Buildings. I like tall ones." A breath shudders out of him before he can stop it. "Of course you do." He stands, straightening carefully, as if any sudden movement might shatter what little control he has left. When he speaks again, it is to her. "We need to talk," he says. "Not here, not now, but soon." She nods, tears burning behind her eyes. The secret she carried for years is no longer hers alone, and nothing, not wealth, not power, not time, can undo what has just been revealed. They meet 2 days later, not at the hospital, not in an office filled with glass and steel, but in a quiet park on the edge of the city, where trees soften the noise, and no one looks twice at a man sitting on a bench with his hands clasped tightly in front of him. She arrives early, her son at school, her heart heavy with everything left unsaid. When he approaches, she sees the strain on his face immediately. The control he wears so easily in public is gone. In its place is something raw and unfamiliar. He does not sit right away. "How long?" he asks instead. She knows what he means. She has known this moment would come for years. "From the beginning," she answers. "I found out a month after you left for that overseas project." His jaw tightens. He turns away briefly, staring at the path stretching ahead of them, as if distance might help him think. "You let me walk away," he says, not accusing, just stating a fact. She exhales slowly. "You were already gone, not just physically. Your life was moving faster than anything I could keep up with. I did not want our child to feel like an afterthought." He looks at her then, disbelief flickering across his face. "You decided that for me." "Yes," she says quietly. "I did, and I live with that every day." Silence settles between them, thick and heavy. He runs a hand through his hair, the gesture sharp with frustration. "I missed his first steps," he says. "His first words. Entire years I can never get back." Her eyes fill, but she does not look away. "And I carried all of it alone. Every fever, every fear, every night wondering if I made the right choice." He opens his mouth, then closes it again. The anger he feels has nowhere clean to land. She is not a villain. She is a mother who made an impossible decision and stood by it. "You should have trusted me," he says finally. "I trusted myself to protect him," she replies, "even if it meant you would hate me one day." The words hang between them. He sits down heavily on the bench, the weight of the truth pressing down on him from all sides. For the first time in his life, No amount of money or influence offers a solution. "I do not know how to do this," he admits. "I do not know how to step into a life that is already built." She softens then, just a little. "I am not asking you to replace anything. I am asking you to show up, slowly, honestly." He nods, staring at the ground. "And if I fail?" "Then you learn," she says, "like the rest of us." He looks up at her, searching for something, permission perhaps, or forgiveness he knows he does not yet deserve. "I am angry," he says, "but I do not want to lose him again." "You will not," she answers, "not if you choose to stay." Across the park, children laugh, chasing each other across the grass. Somewhere among them is the future they now share responsibility for. This is not a reconciliation, it is a reckoning, and the first step toward becoming something neither of them planned, but both may need. Change does not arrive all at once, it arrives in choices. The first choice he makes is a small one. He asks if he can pick Ethan up from school one afternoon, just once. No cameras, no drivers, no announcements. She hesitates, then agrees, giving clear instructions and firm boundaries. This is not a performance, this is real life. He arrives 10 minutes early and waits by the gate like every other parent. When Ethan spots him, surprise flashes across his face, followed by a cautious smile. He does not run. He does not hesitate either. He simply walks over, studying him with the same quiet curiosity he brings to everything else. "Mom said you might come," Ethan says. "I am glad she did," he replies. They walk together, talking about simple things. School projects, a math test, a model city Ethan wants to build someday. He listens, not with the intensity of a man trying to prove something, but with the focus of someone who understands that attention is the real currency here. That night, he sends her a message. Not about schedules or logistics, just a sentence. "Thank you for trusting me today." Over the following weeks, he shows up, consistently, quietly. He sits through appointments without interrupting. He learns the names of medications and the rhythm of school days. He rearranges meetings without complaint when Ethan has a bad morning. He accepts correction when he gets it wrong. There are moments when she catches him watching Ethan from across the room, his expression caught somewhere between wonder and grief, for the time lost, for the connection forming now. One evening, after Ethan falls asleep on the couch, he stands awkwardly in the small apartment, unsure of where to put his hands. "I am not here to take over," he says carefully. "I know you built this life. I just want to be part of it, if you will let me." She studies him for a long moment. "No grand gestures," she says. "No promises you cannot keep." He nods. "Just presence." That answer matters more than he knows. He makes another choice soon after. He steps back from a major deal that would require months overseas. His board questions it. His advisors push back. He does not explain. For the first time, he does not feel the need to. Healing is not dramatic. It is repetitive. It is choosing the same thing again and again, even when it is uncomfortable. She feels herself changing too. The constant tension in her shoulders eases. She sleeps better. She allows herself to imagine a future that includes help without strings attached. One night, as they sit at the kitchen table reviewing a school permission slip, their hands brush. Neither of them pulls away immediately. The moment is quiet, fragile, and full of everything they are not ready to name. This is not forgiveness yet, but it is something close to hope. And for the first time in years, all three of them are moving forward together. Spring arrives quietly. The air softens. Trees outside the apartment begin to bud, and sunlight lingers longer in the evenings. Life does not suddenly become perfect, but it becomes steadier, more grounded, built on routines that now belong to 3 people instead of 2. Ethan's health stabilizes. Appointments become less frequent. Fear loosens its grip, replaced by cautious optimism. On a Saturday morning, the 3 of them sit at the small kitchen table, assembling a model city from cardboard and glue. Buildings rise unevenly. Streets curve where they should not. Ethan narrates every decision with serious authority. His father listens, not as a guest, not as a visitor, but as someone who knows he belongs here. Later that afternoon, they walk to the park. Ethan runs ahead, laughing, calling back to make sure they are watching. They are. Always. She stands beside him, hands in her jacket pockets, the breeze lifting strands of her hair. There is comfort in the silence between them now. No tension, no unspoken accusations waiting to surface. "I have been thinking," he says finally, "about what comes next." She turns toward him, calm but alert. "And? I am not asking you to change anything," he continues. "I am asking if there is space to build something new, slowly, on your terms." She studies his face. The certainty there is different from before. Quieter. Earned. "There is space," she says, "but it is not a shortcut." "I know," he replies. "I am done running." They watch Ethan climb the jungle gym, his laughter carrying across the park. A simple moment, an extraordinary one. Weeks later, he makes a final, deliberate choice. He moves into a nearby apartment, not the penthouse offered by convenience, but close enough to walk, close enough to be present. He attends school meetings. He learns bedtime routines. He listens when Ethan talks about his dreams and when he is afraid. One evening, as Ethan sleeps between them on the couch after a long day, he speaks softly. "I cannot give you back the years I missed," he says, "but I can give you every year I have left." She feels tears rise, unexpected and unguarded. "That is all I ever wanted," she answers. There is no dramatic proposal, no grand declaration, just a shared understanding, solid and real. Months later, they stand together at a small community event sponsored by the hospital program. He does not stand on a stage. He stands beside them, one hand resting lightly on Ethan's shoulder, the other brushing against hers. People see a family, not because of wealth, not because of appearances, but because of presence. As the sun sets, Ethan slips his hand into both of theirs. "Can we go home now?" he asks. She smiles. So does he. "Yes," they answer together, because home is no longer a place she built alone. It is a life they chose, healed by truth, strengthened by time, and held together by love that finally found its way back.